Look at this. Isn't it sweet how the other wives have seemed to do better over the years? For real, they look confident. They like change and they grow right in front of us. But Robyn? Well, let's say she never really got better at all. Now here's where it gets interesting. Robyn hasn't just slowed down, she's gone totally off track. It's like she took a wrong turn into a place where she lost all her confidence. Her whole mood feels worried, and that face she always makes doesn't make anyone like her. And let's be honest, when was the last time we saw her smile without it looking fake? But wait, it gets even more interesting. The only one who seems to be getting Kody's attention lately is Janelle. Yes, really. Whether people want to admit it or not, she's clearly the one he's focusing on now. Robyn might still be holding onto that fairy tale dream, but real life is way less magical. Here's one of the most awkward moments ever filmed. Robyn tells Kody she likes his ring, saying, "I like your wedding ring," in a weird, distant way. And you can almost hear everything go quiet. Kody brushes it off, saying, "This isn't a wedding ring or anything. It just fits this finger. No feelings, no meaning, just a ring." But hold on, what does she do when she asks him if he ever really loved his first two wives? Kody doesn't even pause. Love? No way, that wasn't love, that was just something we did, ouch. As if that wasn't bad enough, he basically jokes about melting the ring down like it's some kind of magic spell that needs to be broken. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. And if you're thinking, wow, this is already a mess, just get ready because we're just getting started. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking deep into some of the most shocking moments between Kody, Robyn, and the other wives. And believe me, you're going to want to stick around for this one. Now about that famous ring melting moment. On the surface, it might seem petty or over the top. But after a while, if you watch these people enough, you start to see that they have this weird way of telling the truth while trying to hide it. And Kody, he told us everything without really saying much. Let me explain. Meri has been spending years, really years, explaining over and over how much she loves Robyn. And if you didn't believe she did, well, don't worry, she's made sure you do now. But things get tricky from here, really. I think deep down Meri didn't want Robyn to join the family. Yeah, I said that. She probably covered it up with nice-sounding complaints like it's not the right time or I'm just thinking about how this might affect everything, the balance, the money, the family situation, you name it. But underneath, she wasn't okay with it. Not really, and what did she get for trying to share those thoughts, even nicely? Punishment, rejection, distance. Kody's reaction? He couldn't let Meri have any emotional connection to him, not even something symbolic like a ring. It wasn't about the gold, it was about removing any trace of a bond that had clearly gotten weak. And that's where the story really starts. Oh, but that wouldn't work, would it? No. Heaven forbid a woman thinks she has any say in things. So Kody made it very clear where Meri stood. The disgust was literally written on his face. That was exactly the moment when Meri realized that if she wanted to stay in his good books, she'd have to follow a very specific path. And let me tell you, she did it perfectly for years. She groveled, fawned over Robyn, acted like she was her biggest fan, and gave constant support. Why? Meri knew exactly how to get into Kody's good books to become the perfect sister wife. But wait, there's more. Did you ever notice the weird changes in family traditions? Let's talk about the Joseph Smith birthday parties. They used to do it every year, didn't they? But then all of a sudden they just stopped. Sound familiar? Just so happens this change happened around the time Robyn joined the family. Coincidence? You decide. And then there's the school life of the kids. They all went to a certain school for years until Robyn became part of their lives. See the pattern there, don't you? Yeah, the whole vibe changed completely when she arrived. But the real kicker? Meri's place in the family went from accepted to isolated once Robyn arrived. It was like a switch had been flipped and suddenly Kody needed to make sure Meri didn't think she had any claim on him. That ring? No longer a symbol of connection. but a boundary. Kody didn't even blink when Robyn brought it to his attention. No questions asked, and looking back at it all, it does make sense, doesn't it? If you go back to season 1, you'll notice Meri, Christine, and Janelle were all on the same page when it came to Robyn. But something didn't feel right. If Meri did love Robyn as much as she said she did, wouldn't it have been a little suspicious? Yeah, you bet. Kody rewarding Meri for backing down? Perfect sense. Now he was showering her with attention and love leading up to the wedding. But after? Well, he threw her a bone, telling her follow the script and maybe I'll put up with you a little longer. Harsh. But this is where it gets really nasty. A person on a forum actually did some math on this whole catfish story and the timeline is scary. This whole mess supposedly happened 7 years after Kody had already moved out of his marriage to Meri after a miscarriage. This is when Kody went with Meri to try to have a baby and Robyn offered to be the surrogate. And let me tell you, it wasn't just cold, it was mean. Think about it. Meri didn't want Robyn to join the family. She just didn't want to have any say in the matter. Kody made it very clear that if he wanted it, she would have to go along with it. No questions asked, and here's the icing on the cake. Kody probably saw Meri's inability to have babies as some kind of punishment from God. Don't take my word for it, his own mini-me Kody Jr. flat out said that God was punishing Meri for only having one child, and that child was trans. No grandchildren for you, Meri. It seems God's clearly on Kody's team on this one. If Leon wanted Kody to know what was going on, they could have easily told him themselves. But let's be real, considering the absolute storm of hate Meri and Leon get on Meri's Instagram posts. It's no wonder they've chosen to keep quiet. I'm sure there's zero understanding in that fan base when it comes to understanding trans people, except of course on Reddit, where everyone suddenly becomes a nice person for about 5 minutes, honestly. For Leon's mental health, staying off the show is probably the best choice. As much as I'd love to hear their thoughts on the crazy circus that is the Brown family, putting them through more public attacks would be terrible. So yeah, it's probably for the best they stay off screen, but let's be realistic, how crazy would a transition story be to see Robyn sit down? Because it's time we talk about taking responsibility, or rather, the lack of it. Seriously, has Robyn ever said she did something wrong? That's $1 million question, right? I'd have enough money to buy a mansion next to Kody's if I had $1 for each time she avoided taking responsibility for what she did. Although I'd have to deal with the drama of his new favorite wife, but that's a whole different can of worms. Now let's talk about the other wives. They've had their I could have done better moments. Meri, Kody, Christine, and Janelle, they all made the I could have done this better or the I messed up here kind of statements. But Robyn? No way. You might as well be asking if she's ever apologized for not being able to see herself in a mirror, because that's how much imperfect energy she's putting out. Remember that huge purity speech she gave? She made it sound like she's never done anything wrong in her life except for getting pregnant with Dayton, and even then someone tricked her because naturally it could never be her fault. We get it, Robyn, you're the helpless victim of bad choices. It's not like she's not afraid to talk to Kody or explain his feelings for him though. She's basically his personal translator, blurting out, "Oh, Kody didn't hurt you, he's just misunderstood." But when she has to explain herself, she's like a confusing dance of avoiding the topic. It seems like she only talks Kody, not Robyn, and you pretty much got it right when you said in the tell-all last season Robyn told them, "I feel like we failed." Oh really? You're going to claim failure now? Let's break that down, shall we? But somehow Robyn always manages to explain why everyone else is responsible for the mess. It's like a masterclass in avoiding blame with zero acknowledgement of her own part in any of it. She might have said, "Hey, I might have done things differently," but nope. Just the same old game of I didn't do anything wrong, it's all their fault. So to answer your question, no, she owns nothing, and I think she's more than happy to keep it that way. Now can we all just agree that Andy Cohen is the only one who should ever host these tell-alls? The guy doesn't mess around. He really does watch the shows, understands what's happening, and isn't afraid to call out people for their garbage. Sure, he may have a few favorites, but that doesn't stop him from dragging them when they're being ridiculous. TLC could never pay him though. I mean TLC versus Bravo? That's like comparing a cardboard box to a fancy yacht. But for real, what are we doing here? Why would you choose a host for a tell-all when they obviously don't watch the show? It's like asking some random guy off the street to review a book they've never heard of. They can't connect with the audience, and good luck getting them to ask questions that make sense. The whole thing is just confusing. Now Andy, he's smooth. He has the tough questions and won't give anyone a free pass even if they're lying through their teeth or being a fool. He's the only one who can properly host a reunion and make it worth watching, but let's not kid ourselves. Andy's only great when he's still personally interested in the show and is a producer. Just look at his Below Deck reunions. They're basically the same old stale garbage we get from Sister Wives no matter who's hosting. Production has their hands tied behind their backs with what can and can't be asked. We're all wanting the older Sister Wives reunions back, but come on, there wasn't usually much to remember. I mean, the only one that's actually memorable is the Nacho statement, and I don't even think the host brought it up. And to boot, that was already revealed in the book before the reunion even happened. And speaking of Robyn, let's talk about her random eating commentary. Seriously, why does she feel the need to mention how little she eats all the time? You know, every other sentence is a line like, I can't eat or I'll throw up, or I never have an appetite, or I just can't eat when I'm upset, like she's carrying the world on her tiny little shoulders. Yeah, I get it, stress messes with your appetite. But she doesn't just bring it up every now and then. It's like she's in competition with the other wives for most fragile. And don't forget the Fragile Queen Award, because Robyn's out here campaigning hard for it. Even in her book she lets this little bombshell drop. Oh, it's good for our household that the kids are welcome at the other moms' pantries because Breanna and I eat so little. Like what? Why is that something that gets said? Look, nobody's judging her eating in real life. That's not what this is about. It's the repeated, constant reminders like not eating is some kind of humble brag. It's not how much she eats, it's the vibe behind always talking about it. It becomes less of a personal story and more like she's wearing it as a badge of honor. Like, look how dainty I am. People clap for my weakness. It's part of this bigger act. She leans into Robyn, the always delicate damsel in distress, the woman who literally can't eat when her emotions are hurt even a little bit. Seriously, how the original wives were able to sit through her speeches without rolling their eyes into another galaxy is beyond me, but the food issue is only a symptom. This is Robyn's thing. She must always be the exception. Her parenting style? Completely one of a kind. Her children? Oh, they're just more good, more sensitive, more worthy of special treatment. They can't sleep unless the stars are aligned and the whole household bends to their needs. Everything is about her every single time. It's like the Brown family needs a new manual every week just to keep up with whatever new thing Robyn has decided makes her different. And heaven help anyone who ever forgets her needs in the group setting. The world must adjust accordingly. Now here's where it gets really interesting. I went back and watched Sister Wives all the way from the beginning, and it turns out I'd missed 3 or 4 seasons. Guess I was overseas starting in 2012. No problem, right? Well, guess what? The Kody transformation journey? Totally crazy. Seeing him change from gangly, goofy, I'm just a regular old polygamous dad to outright wannabe patriarch is like watching an evil genius take off his Clark Kent glasses. By the time you reach the end of season 8, around that cringe-worthy commitment ceremony, the mask is gone. Meri's off to school, Robyn's complaining that she simply can't have another baby without more support, and Kody? Kody is fading away into his true form. Out comes the swagger, in slides the ego, and suddenly it's no longer a weird family situation, it's a social experiment that's gone haywire. Then we have this gem of a moment. Christine has the nerve to call out this man, Ken Griffin, who had the nerve to tell Kody he needed to divorce 3 wives in order to be welcomed back into the church. But here's where it gets really twisted. Christine caves. She literally says, "Yeah, I was hormonal. I was being unreasonable. Excuse me. What is this? Fear conditioning? Brainwashing?" Either way, it's heartbreaking. And just when you're sure Kody can't possibly become more out of control, he goes full dictator dad. Garrison wants to decide for himself: college, the military, Hawaii, and Kody's all no way because naturally he knows best. And the hypocrisy. Chef's kiss. Christine's aunt is kicked out from the family fold for having the nerve to speak her mind. She looks like a person who has been waiting in the cold, waiting to be let inside, only to discover that the door would never open. I'm only on season 10 in my rewatch, and Kody's self-important power trip is just getting worse. Janelle and Meri trying to decorate for Thanksgiving? Hilarious and oddly wholesome. But Kody? He's in full dictator mode, pacing around, barking orders, acting like he's running a kingdom instead of a family dinner. And here's the thing about Kody: he's not just a flashy showboat for entertainment. He's a dangerous showboat. The further you look, the more obvious it is this isn't a matter of ego, it's control, validation, obedience. He feeds on being the one everyone comes to, even when he's wrong. His need to be seen as the authority is so overpowering it has its own gravity. Flash forward to the new season and the change is glaring. Kody and Robyn both fully embracing being emotional tyrants. Exhibit A. That surreal little exchange Meri and Kody have about the Leahy house. Meri simply trying to have a reasonable conversation about selling it and having the work done. Kody confronting, belittling her like she's stupid. Absolutely disgusting. And what's worse is none of what he was arguing actually made any sense. He's scolding her for getting contractors' opinions. That's literally how you start renovations. Plan, get estimates, do it. But Kody? No plan, no sense, just arrogance. And Robyn? She completely loses it because Meri had the nerve to say she was thinking about taking classes at MSc. That's right, Meri wanting to improve herself is a threat to Robyn's too busy to function lifestyle. The same Robyn who couldn't even put together a coherent business presentation without falling apart. She was rambling, disorganized, unprepared. It was like watching someone try to improvise a TED Talk with no preparation, and then there was that raw sit-down interview portion. They aired the clip of Kody and Janelle's argument, and the tension in that room. Tense. You could see it written all over every single one of their faces. There was hurt, tiredness, loneliness, and a silent realization that they'd all lived this too long. Kody wasn't just aggressive, he was downright disrespectful. And not only to Janelle, but to all the women in that room who've had to endure his version of leadership. And in all seriousness, I always believed Kody held these very deeply controlling, woman-hating beliefs. But what's so frightening now is how unmasked it all is. The goofy gee-whiz act disappeared. What we're seeing now is true Kody Brown, manipulative, controlling, and completely divorced from the suffering he causes, and yet I can't look away. This show, it's a masterclass in emotional dysfunction, power imbalance, and charisma being able to cover for toxicity until it can't anymore. What makes this even more fascinating is how the show has become this weird mirror for so many families dealing with control issues. You watch Kody and think, thank goodness my dad isn't like that, but then you start recognizing some of those same patterns in your own life or relationships. The way he dismisses the women's feelings, makes everything about him, and acts like he's the victim when people call him out. It's like a textbook on emotional manipulation. And Robyn? She's the perfect example of someone who's learned to weaponize vulnerability. Every tear, every I can't eat, every I'm too fragile moment is calculated to get attention and sympathy. It's actually pretty genius in a twisted way. She's figured out that playing the victim gets her exactly what she wants: Kody's protection and the other wives walking on eggshells around her. The scariest part is how normal this all probably feels to the kids growing up in this environment. They're watching their dad treat women like disposable objects and their stepmom manipulate everyone around her. What kind of relationships are they going to have when they grow up? How do you unlearn that kind of dysfunction? But here's what really gets me: the show keeps going because we keep watching. We're all complicit in this mess because we tune in every week to watch these people destroy each other emotionally. It's like a car crash you can't look away from, except these are real people with real feelings getting hurt in real time. The producers know exactly what they're doing too. They edit these episodes to maximize the drama, probably push certain storylines, and then sit back and count their money while families implode on national television. It's entertainment built on human suffering, and somehow we've all decided that's okay as long as it's reality TV, and that's the most disturbing part of all. We've normalized watching people's worst moments for entertainment. These tell-alls and reunion shows aren't about resolution or healing. They're about getting the most explosive moments possible for ratings. Everyone involved knows it, but the money's too good to stop. So yeah, Kody's mask is definitely off, but maybe ours should come off too. Maybe we should ask ourselves why we're so fascinated by watching families fall apart and what that says about us as a society. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the mask is finally off for good? And if you're as far down this rabbit hole as I am, be sure to like,